Yo, yo, yo. What is going on, people? Hopefully, y'all doing okay.
It's
A
been
little
fun.
bit of housekeeping before we move forward. Uh, the debater did not show. If I had made a bet, I would have lost my bet because I would have thought for sure that all that talk they were doing last Friday, that they would definitely be here to school us on reparations.
Yeah.
And for those of you who showed up expecting to have a reparation conversation, it ain't gonna happen. Um, Little beta boy decided that he was not man enough to show up to the podcast, so he can take his little soy cream and put it on his binky and suck it in a corner. Um, and probably more than likely after he took the binky out of his boyfriend's behind. So that's all I know.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Marlon, here's what happened. After the show, he went and watched a couple of our episodes, probably. And he probably saw that he was biting off more than he can chew. He was, I don't know about this. I don't think I can get in the arena with those guys because they're going to eat me up. Yeah, we was going to eat you up. We was going to eat you up and then recycle you, bring you back, and eat you up again. You didn't show up.
We're not even a fan of your food. So
yeah, I'm a coward.
So in either case, he didn't show, so we're not going to have that at all.
They never do.
It's just
Secondarily, I may be leaving early. I'm still waiting because I figured I'd let you guys know. I had to take the wife into the hospital. She got admitted, so I'm waiting to hear back from her what I need to have happen and all that stuff. So just remember that. So if you see me looking at my phone or you hear it go off, just know I have to have it on so I don't miss anything. And if you just see me go blank, it's because I'm out, and these guys will have it from there on. So just want to make sure I put that out there for you guys to know that I'm not just
right
flipping back and forth and out of here. So, but with that being said, we're gonna talk about the debacle that was the White House meeting.
The White House,
not a debacle on our end.
No, on his end. But to kick things off the correct way, I think we need to have, you know what? Forget it. Even if I get a copyright on YouTube, don't really give two flying flaps. This is what Zelensky could have showed up in, and he didn't choose to. No, he does have a suit, as you can see here.
Oh,
but because he wasn't asked to do what he's about to do in this that, he would have been fine. But since he didn't get asked to come and twerk, he decided no. He decided he wasn't.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's embarrassing.
Yes. Now I have a question for you guys. Did you guys verify? I have yet to. I saw the clip and I wasn't too sure that's what he said. But there were two things he said while in the meeting and then after the meeting. Can you get verified this is true? Did he call J.D. Vance the B word? And when he was on the outside going to his vehicle, did he say F Trump?
I don't know about the second part, but the first one is confirmed that he said something of the variation of bitch or effing hell.
Wow.
Huh. That little man's got some balls on him.
But he said it in Russian, which is funny in and of itself.
Of course, because he knows who knows who he belongs to.
Yeah.
There was an interpreter there, then also native speakers have all heard this phrase and saying before and knew what he said. When he was addressing Vance, he heard him start talking and he said it under his breath. And obviously, if you're mic'd up for a press conference, probably not best not to say anything underneath your breath because it can still get picked up on the mic.
Yeah. See, if I was Trump, I'd be like, you know what? Since you said that, now I'm sending troops to Russia, and we're gonna help them. Now we're sending troops to Russia.
I will say the memes out of this have been glorious. By the way. I don't know if any of you have seen some of them where they like, especially the one with Zelensky being like a little baby crying, and then like Trump's like giving him that one.
That's beautiful. I love that one.
I love AI. AI is giving us some of the best memes possible. It's the golden age of memes because we can anything you can imagine can be made through AI.
I want to find that the dialogue. So here is I'll let them tell you what exactly is happening, because I do want to find out if it's true, if what he says is true, if what they say he said is true. Because
I want to confirm that he's got some testicles.
Yeah, I don't want to confirm or deny that the man did say something ill towards Mr. VP here. Let's find out.
Thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen.
Audio's out.
Can't hear you.
Why was it muted? I don't get that. Anyway, can you all see what's so funny about the top left corner there?
Yeah.
What does it say here?
Unverified audio.
Why, if you're getting this directly from the White House, how is it unverified audio?
I know why. Because we have AI. And remember back when Biden was in office, they talked about deep fakes, right? You can't believe this. You can't believe that. You got to watch out for deep fakes. So when they say unverified audio, they're just letting us know that this could be AI. So it's unverified.
And the best thing about this is the fact that this was after already almost 40 minutes of him being kind of combative this entire time, let alone the 10 days leading up to this event where he was being plain difficult over and over and over again.
No, I mean, I watched the interview, and I don't think anything is unverified. I mean, if you don't want to admit he said it, just say we don't believe it. But you don't got to lie and say, well, he probably didn't really say it was alleged.
In the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
Let's see.
Hindustan Times.
Oh yeah, I love them. They're
They're great.
They're the Hindu BBC, man. Come on.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
Did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
There it is, Suka. There it is. And that's great. That's great. Well, at least he did mutter something under his breath. Whether or not he said what he said, he muttered something.
You know why I like JD Vance, now more than I did early on, because we did have
we were critical of him. Yeah,
we did have our skepticism about him.
Yeah.
But I like the way he operates, because he's operating just like it would be in the military. Your right hand man is there to jump in and make a point when they need to. And Trump just sat there, and JD, and you could see that kind of mutual respect, because Vance wasn't really overstepping his boundaries. He was just caveating on what the president was already thinking or already said. Yeah, and I loved it. I loved how he just jumped in, and President Trump just sat there like, "That's my man right there." and that's the type of right hand man you want. When I was up in the senior NCOs levels in the military, my right hand man or left hand man was my lieutenant, and we used to do that. We used to feed off of each other.
Right.
So it's good on him. Keep doing that.
I want to, since he can have the cojones, we have proof that he does have. Well, we have his version of proof that he has a pair. And I mean Zelensky. He has tried to prove people that he has a pair, and this is him proving his pair. He has a pair. Yeah. There's Zelensky for you.
To be fair, he was a comedian, so
it didn't look very funny to me.
That's comedy.
No,
I wouldn't call that comedy. Yeah, I wouldn't call that comedy.
He's funny looking.
No,
I
got something for you. I got comedy for you. So this is real comedy right here.
But here's my question before you bring that up. Here's my question to everybody in the audiences, okay? And I had this conversation with Corey. If I am coming to your house, I was invited to your house. Over the last 4 years, I have been helping your family and you out financially. And then you're coming to my house by my request to consider more funding to you and your family. Would you consider it an insult if I pulled up to your home in sweats, a wife beater, slippers, ashy feet, my hair ain't combed, and my teeth not brushed. Would you consider that an insult? And then I sit on your couch, put my feet up, and tell you, all right, this is how much I want.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
and
essentially
also,
what he did.
you're leaving out the fact that they did in fact ask him to wear a suit.
To
So
wear a suit.
after saying all of the things that you're wearing, and they specifically told you not to wear that, and you wear that,
That's
just added disrespect.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, and just his whole demeanor was very disrespectful. He sat there with his arms crossed,
Folded, yeah.
and he kept clapping back at the vice president and the president of the United States. As Marlon stated, you're in my house. It's the same thing as someone to come to my house right now, and I invited them over, and they come in here and disrespect me and act like that. Guess what? I'm kicking them out.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you got to remember that the prior to the last 4 years.
Oh, it gets better. Hey,
Hold on.
you want to finish? You want to play? You want to finish your thought?
Go ahead, Jay.
Let me finish. Anyway, prior to the past 4 years, all he's ever gotten was a check every single time he came to the White House.
Yep.
Mhm.
And now it's different. All of a sudden, he's a petulant child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, perfect segue.
he is a petulant child.
AI.
Why did he fall like that?
DDT too.
Get him out!
Oh my word.
That's great.
So that's real
great.
comedy, folks. That's real
Yeah.
comedy.
My favorite was the suplex. That was my favorite one right there.
The
rock bottom.
running him out. Oh, that's great.
Oh man, that little
But
man.
here's the thing: is like JD Vance was making a real point that they aren't in a position to make any demands of anybody. Like the whole serious part about this is the fact that you are a weaker power going to a bigger power, asking for help, and you're being disrespectful to the guy who's trying to help you, and that they have set this up with not only you, your other people, and their staff. Like looking at Marco Rubio, just watch his work go down the toilet. That entire meeting shows everything, and he's the neocon, man. He's the establishment guy, and even he's pissed off at you.
Yeah,
That's how you know it got bad, is when Marco Rubio was mad, and then you had Lindsey Graham come out and say, "Yeah, we can't work with Zelensky anymore," and he's the one that's been cheerleading Zelensky for 3 years.
that part.
At some point, right? People have to get with the program.
Yeah.
Even the UK, who just gave him 2.8 billion or 2.5 billion,
And a 100-year plan. Don't
they
forget about the 100 years.
say he wants now to have the US join him in boots on the ground. Bro, look, you ain't gonna get the US to join you in jack. Go ahead and fund Ukraine. We don't care if you use your people's money. Go bankrupt. We don't care. We're not gonna fund that little midget fool no more anyway. So have at it. I hope you and every last one in the UN starts sending billions of dollars to them. I hope you do it. And I want you to go and put yourself on the ground and start going to war with Russia. And when Russia decides that they've had enough of the war and they're going to end it by using the thing called starting with the N on y'all, don't call us for backup because we're not backing up jack. We might stay in the background and do this, but we ain't backing you up for nothing, bro. Nothing.
Yeah.
And the thing with Zelensky, he it's almost like he wants Trump to pick sides. You're either with Putin or with me? And Trump was like, I'm not gonna, pretty much pick sides. I'm not gonna tell this guy off when I'm trying to, get peace in the region.
Right. That's
Right.
And that is basically what the Democrats and everybody in Europe has been saying, is that Trump is pushing the U.S. more closer to Putin, that he's a Putin apologist, or that he's a Putin puppet, and that he's a Putin propagandist who is just out there being in line with them because they have something on him or whatever else, or he's compromised. All these things have been making that argument over and over again. And let's just be real. Let's be realistic. We have literally zero interest in Ukraine that makes any sense for any of us to be involved in. If we're talking about geopolitics here and what's going to happen in the next 50 years, Russia is a more important strategic partner to us because they border what large country who are adversarial with.
Right.
What country is that? Can you name the name?
China.
Exactly. China is more of a distinct problem for us than Russia is. Russia is no longer what it used to be. They are closer aligned to the West than they are the East, and we keep pushing them to China. Now, it would be better for us strategically in geopolitics to be closer with Russia because they have a border with China, which gives us easy access in the case of a aggressive war on the East. Why would we?
Here's my question. Then. Here's my question. What makes a person a sympathizer with Russia? What would they consider a sympathizing kind of behavior?
Just saying that it was our fault for getting this whole thing started because we kept pushing NATO's borders. That makes us a Putin apologist.
So when Clinton did it, he wasn't a puppet?
Mm-mm.
When Bush did it, he wasn't a puppet either?
No.
Not even when Obama did it?
No.
Well, of course not Obama.
Only when Trump wouldn't do it. That's he's the
only when Trump does it. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we got the criteria down so we don't misconstrue the idea of who's actually a puppet. Because the last time I checked, the tariffs didn't work as heavily when other people did it as much as when Trump did it to Russia. They respond a little bit differently. I wonder why that. Oh, I know why. Trump is volatile.
Yeah.
The rest of them are predictable. So
there was a great meme that showed that exactly.
And one of the main reasons they keep running with this Trump apologist crap is because they're still tying Russia and the whole collusion and all this other stuff. So they're going to constantly tie Trump to that, even though it's not true.
Right.
So as long as they tie him to that, they can keep calling him a Russian puppet because they still think Russia helped Trump win in 2016.
Well, if he helped them win, if Russia helped Trump win, wouldn't the win mean that he had easier access to Ukraine in 16?
Yes.
Yeah. But did he access Ukraine in 16?
No.
Why wouldn't he access the one spot that he's good with? I'm trying to figure it out because I'm listening to a lot of people because now I'm stuck on the left side of X. I don't know if people realize I've been stuck on I don't want to really leave because I find it hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Like the left side of X, if you guys want a laugh, hear me out. Just hear me out. If you want a actual laugh to where your sides hurt and you need to pee often, start a new X account. Okay, just start a new X account, and from that X account, all I want you to do is follow one, and all you need is one lefty. Once you do that, sit back and just fold your arms and watch your feed go ape. When they go ape, I'm telling you right now, they'll go ape. You'll have fun. Thank me.
I dibble dabbled over there, and it's crazy how they all just regurgitate the same thing. Like they're all reading off the same script. It's the same crap.
Yeah,
and it's pretty funny to watch them, crash out.
Now, one of the things that set him off was JD calling out the fact that they have manpower issues, and that what he was talking about, what he's been seeing is videos like this where people are being forcibly conscripted and thrown in the back of vans. Like there's many such videos that you can find on X and over social media where guys are being chokehold and thrown into vans and forcibly conscripted, and people that were trying to escape were then forced to go to the front lines where most of them ended up dying. We're talking about thousands. That's not even counting the fact that there are thousands of Foreign Legion soldiers from all over the world that have been in Ukraine fighting too that have died as well. So it's not like there hasn't people going over there. Even with all the people volunteering, they still don't have enough.
Well, they won't have enough because it's like throwing meat into a grinder. You're just going to run out of bodies at one point, and then now he's wanting to do this. Now he's threatening. He had threatened this.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying.
And they will be dying for Ukraine.
Wow.
Here's one thing Zelensky needs to understand. And this is coming from a former service member, former soldier. Ain't no damn way that we would listen to anything Zelensky has to say. NATO will never call the shots because America is NATO. There is no NATO without America. I don't care how many EU countries you get. Without America, you got nothing.
You're exactly right. And that's the thing that's been like, I've been watching, like I said, what the EU's been saying, right? What DW, what BBC, what Canada's been saying, and other creators in Europe. It basically comes down to this: is people are upset that America stopped being world police. They're mad because the money's gone, and especially in Africa, by the way. And they're upset that they no longer get to live their cushy lives with security guarantees enforced by the United States. That's what it really comes down to. But they know they have fumbled that ball for 70 years and not done anything with defense, that they know they cannot defend themselves, even if they wanted to, within the next 10 years. Right. And so they have to have the United States, but they cannot trust Trump because he's an unreliable ally. Not that the United States is unreliable, that Donald Trump to them is an unreliable ally because he wants to do what? Put the American people first. That's what it really comes down to. If they wanted to go total war, they would not absolutely stand a chance. But then that would be an absolute chaotic thing that you would not want to have happen, because you still got to remember, Russia has the most tactical nuclear weapons on the planet. Your audio's out, Marlon.
He's talking to someone.
Okay, never mind. So that being said, yes, I believe and I think that Russia could, in fact, win that war had we not given any weapons to Ukraine and nobody did anything. If they just watched it happen, they would have rolled them over in a couple of days. The only reason they didn't go into Kyiv was because they had a deal in place and they were lied to pull them out of Kyiv. That's it. The Russians were going to take Kyiv, and the only reason they pulled back is because they got a deal that was supposed to happen, and then Boris Johnson nuked it.
Something.
That is it.
I know it's in
so this is an interesting video because this is basically what everybody's been criticizing Donald Trump for doing is what Bill Clinton has already done previously with Putin. To have a good relationship with him.
Mr. Putin he's very smart.
You know him better than most people.
Yeah, I do.
What was he like behind closed doors, away from, the sort of the public eyes?
Smart and remarkably, we had a really good, blunt relationship.
How blunt?
Brutally blunt.
Ever fisticuffs?
No, but I think the right strategy most of the time is, but it's frustrating to people in your line of work. You should be brutally honest with people in private. And then if you want them to help you, try to avoid embarrassing them in public.
Right.
Now, sometimes
and that's a key point that he points out. Try not to embarrass them in public, which is exactly what Zelensky did. Asking for money and help was what should have been done in private, was done in the public eye. And he embarrassed Trump and J.D. Vance, and he got bit for it.
You know what I'm saying about Billy? Billy's not wrong, but hear me out, Billy. I think you know a thing or two about being a certain aggressive way when cameras are off. But I digress about that.
Yeah.
Him saying that you need to be able to talk about somebody in private and have the conversation stay private, especially if you're going to get into a kind of fisticuffs kind of conversation. I think what the difference is with that versus Zelensky is Zelensky really thought that if he had things in front of the camera, Trump would act differently because he was afraid of being judged. Now, what he may not have been paying attention to, and this is not necessarily his fault, this is the fault of media. The media has portrayed Trump as one that's not willing to say certain things in front of cameras as he would, and they always catch him on hot. They say, hot Mike, so this was what he said, and this is what we heard people say, and when you ask him in public, he wouldn't repeat it. If you watch Trump, he's not the kind of guy that will not say something to your face. And in fact, you have to be afraid that he will say something to your face. And so I don't know where Zelensky thought that this would be a good idea for him to jump in front of the cameras and have this negotiation. But because it backfired, now he's trying to come across as the victim. And you were a victim. I will admit, Zelensky, you were a victim. And here's the kind of victim you were. You're the kind of victim of your own hubris. That's what you are. You're your own worst enemy, because you thought that coming to the president, the current president, the real president, that you can act like you did when that wet potato was in office and that cackling whore. If you had dealt with him the way you had dealt with them, you would have gotten smacked across the fence. And you thought to yourself, I'll do it in public. He'll never do it there. And lo and behold, he did it in front of everybody, and not just quietly. He put you in your midget spot. Okay? You unkempt, undressed, underwhelming midget. Nobody gives two damns about you, your world, your planet, your country. Nobody cares about Ukraine. Only these woke retards out there that call themselves lefties care, and they don't even care to come visit you. They don't care. They don't care if your homeland disappears. They don't care if your people die. They care about the look, the superficial, the glacier look of it, just as long as it shines. It's all virtue. They don't care if your country goes under. You know why? You'll just be another thing they can pander to and say, look at what happened to Ukraine. Oh, such a sad thing. And in about a month, they'll forget you and they'll move to another country that's going through crap. Nobody cares, Zelensky, and nobody wants to give you money. Now, the other people on the other side of the planet, these limeys, nobody cares about them either. They just lost their queen. They got a little faggot that they call the king now, that he can't even keep himself intact. His hands are swollen up like Polish sausages, and no one cares about his life either, right? Nobody cares about the UK. Nobody cares about none of them people over there. They're worthless human beings. They got nothing going for them. They're letting all these people come in from every planet on every country on the planet that has a lower IQ than everywhere else. Their country is absolute shit. They look like shit. They act like shit. And when you look at them and their culture is worthless. They got nothing to offer anybody. None of them offer anybody. No Muslim on earth offers anybody anything. What do you offer? Child sacrifice and pedophilia. That's what you offer? No one cares about that. But that's what they're giving ground to in the UK and all these other countries. And you show up with your little short stuff thinking, oh, I can get some more money. Nobody here has time for you. Nobody wants to have time for you. You're not offering the planet anything other than sequins on a dress. That's all you are. Okay? So go hang out with RuPaul. Maybe he might be able to lend you some money. I don't know.
Hey, Mark, 2 points. So the first one is, this isn't Zelensky's first meeting with Donald Trump. You remember when he had that meeting with him before the elections? Remember him and Trump talk? Trump laid down the law then. I don't think we got all the details of what happened in there because it wasn't an Oval Office meeting. But Trump pretty much probably told him the same thing that he's telling him now. But he just did it for the world to see. Zelensky knew when he went into that meeting with Trump, he knew where Trump stood on this conflict between Ukraine and Russia. That was all theatrics when Zelensky went in there, because he already knew where Trump stood, and Trump stood his ground. On the other point about the protesters, you have these pro-blacks out here protesting. You guys remember when those Africans were trying to flee Ukraine and they were getting snatched up by the Ukrainian government? So you got these pro-blacks out here waving Ukrainian flags, but when these African immigrants and the people from Africa that lived there were trying to flee that war, they forced them into conscript.
They also killed an American journalist too, and nobody seems to talk about that. He tried to escape the country, and then he was caught and killed. And nobody talks about it.
That would degrade the so-called view that people have of things. You can't afford to lose that viewpoint. That's a viewpoint they have to keep up. Oh, we're nice people. No, you're not. You're worthless.
No. The funniest thing about this is that video that I showed you of Bill Clinton also says later in that same video that Putin has never once gone back on what he agreed to, at least to him, right? So there are things, I think what has been happening is that Putin will make agreements with us, and then we keep stabbing him in the back, and he keeps trying, because at the beginning he tried to get into NATO and to get on the eastern side after the fall of the USSR, and when he came to power, he tried to get closer to the east, and they kept punching him in the face after agreement after agreement. Right, and they kept expanding NATO, even though we said we weren't going to expand NATO. So what did you think was going to happen eventually was what happened, and now we're in this mess, and all Donald Trump is trying to do is to make the mess go away the best he can. Realistically, I know people we shouldn't give an inch of land to Putin. It's how are you going to make him realistically give it back unless you want to send our boots and our money on the ground? There's no way you're forcing him to do anything at this point. He's already won. He's already paid for it. Realistically, he has to get something out of this war, or he's going to lose face. He cannot go away with nothing.
He'll just take it. Nothing's going to
Yeah.
stop him at this point. You're not the UK stepping in is not going to stop Putin
They're
from
not
getting what he wants to get. Let's just be honest,
Yeah.
okay? I believe Putin will be willing to go to World War III with no problem for this. No, this is a hill they're willing to die on.
Yep.
Secondarily, there is no way you can look at the situation and think for a minute that the U.S. stepping in is going to make a difference. It's not. Zelensky already said it, right? He doesn't want any kind of peace treaty which involves the U.S. and Russia. We brought you into the conversation. You didn't want to make peace. So who else is going to I'm going to talk to the other guy. If you don't want in and the other guy wants in, we're going to make a deal. If you don't want in on a deal, then you stay in your corner. But if you attack him, we're going to side with the guy we made the deal with.
That's right.
How is this difficult?
And that's a smart move. If Putin pushes for peace and he says it publicly, I want peace, I don't want to fight, here's what I'll do. I'll pull my troops back. Let's say he says that. And they attack Putin. Now that gives Putin every right to take them off the map.
Yeah. And I think here's the other thing that people are like have been saying is like, we can't give in to dictators. Dude, the United States has been working with dictators for a very long time. I don't know why this dictator makes you squirm so much, other than the fact that it's Russia. That's it. Like I said earlier in the show, strategically, Russia makes more sense to us than NATO and Ukraine. NATO is worth nothing right now. In Afghanistan, they were worth nothing. You remember, Michael, you went to Afghanistan, right? Getting NATO to do anything, any NATO party to do anything in Afghanistan was like pulling hairs. And there was one time they shot a little girl and tried to blame it on us. At least in my AO, that happened. They would do stuff and then they would blame it on the Americans every single time. NATO allies, except for maybe a handful, maybe the British, were the only good ones there.
We were doing cool guy stuff, man. We didn't work with NATO.
Anyway, the point being, they were worthless.
And you're right. And NATO's not going to do anything. They're just going to be there doing exactly what NATO always does. They go in, they rape, they pillage, they do the things that they shouldn't be doing. They did the same thing in Kosovo. They did the same thing in these countries. And you're going to have a bunch of countries in there that can't even speak the same language, trying to communicate with each other on the battlefield. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work.
Then it only makes sense after all that. It only makes sense for Trump to say, you know what, we're pulling all funding, U.S. funds into NATO. We have to pull it because as of right now, NATO has been proven useless. NATO has been proven to be more of a detriment to anything regarding international relations. So there is no point for America to continue investing billions of dollars annually into a failing organization. I mean,
you're right.
Like, if we're going to be talking about the art of the deal, then Trump has to make that deal happen and say, NATO, you guys are on your own.
He will. And he should. We should withdraw completely, and not even withdraw, but withdraw and shut off all communication. They have nothing to offer the American population. They have nothing to offer the American people. They've been using us, and at the behest of stupid people in government, using the entirety of the American government structure. Now, I want to say something about my rant I just went on, because I know some idiot later is going to come and say it. So I'm going to beat you to the punch, monkey. The majority of countries that people flee from, I can't consider them great functioning countries if you're fleeing from them. Okay? Logic alone will tell you that if these people are leaving their homeland in droves to go to somewhere else, one of two things have to be true. They hate it there, or they love it there so much that they want to make it happen everywhere while saying they hate it there. And I would tell him, if you love it there and you want to see it happen, grow from your country out, not from outside your country in.
Yeah.
Go back home and fix it. See me, I have no love for the Trinidadian government whatsoever. They're all trash human beings, and every last one of them deserve the firing squad because they have squandered Trinidad's resources. They've squandered the people. They have made them more poor. They have introduced socialism. They should be led to the gallows for what they've done. So yes, they are indeed worthless human beings. And yes, indeed, the country is going to shit. The majority of these countries are. They're way past third world at this point. They're way past third. They should invent fifth world countries because the majority of them are that. Their governments are corrupt. They're not doing anything for their people, which is why their people leave. At the same time, these people are so stupid when they leave, they act as though what they're coming from is so great. They bring their flags and their Viva la Mexico. If Mexico is such trash, why are you leaving it? Or if it's so good, why are you leaving it?
Yeah.
Right? If it's so good, then if it's trash, why are you Viva in it? There's nothing to live there for because you've left.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand the nonsensical standpoints that people have. Well, you can't talk. We can indeed talk about these countries the way they are. They're coming here for a reason, because if we're that xenophobic and all these other phobics, they're stupid people to come to the one location that hates them so much, or they can't thrive. Come on.
And I want to point out that Europe is not any better. They have gone straight communist in the way that they've attacked like freedom of speech, right? Like the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said, we have freedom of speech. We just don't want the far right to rise. So we shut down their speech. So we have free speech as long as you say what we want you to say. Same thing in England. You can say whatever you want. We're just probably going to arrest you for a meme you said.
For 20 years at that.
Yeah. So like, but that the Europeans aren't any better than the Russians in this regard. If we're talking about working with dictators, they're becoming the same sort of state of dictatorship, just in a different form. Like I don't like. There's no good points to get with any of these people. And like I said earlier as well, America has a very bad history of giving people money and weapons to fight the Russians, just to turn around and use them against us.
If you remember our history of our relationship with Russia, the bad guy wasn't Russia.
Sure wasn't.
The bad guy was Germany. In case people forgot that, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe y'all forgot, but I didn't. Germany was the bad guy. Russia was the help. And of course not. Well, what about the USSR and all that? Okay, understand. I got that. But is that what we are in now? Is Russia the USSR now? No.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they're not that, name for me one thing. Just one. I only want one example of some action that Russia has taken within the last 30 years that's adverse to the American way of life. Name me one time. I'll wait. 30 years. I'm going to give you, in fact, give me 40. 40 years. When it was the last time in 40 years that Russia directly posed a threat to the American way of living.
Yeah. And Marlon, they're not a threat to the American way of living. They're a threat to the globalist ideology. Is because Russia, the only reason Russia is considered an enemy, because we're told that Russia is an enemy. We're told that Russia is bad. Us normal thinking Americans are looking at it like, I don't know what these people have done to America for us to feel this way about them. And all of it goes back to money. All of it. It always goes back to money. You know, the World Bank and Rothschilds and all this other stuff, and they have control of all the banks in all these countries. Russia's one of the countries they don't have control over their financial system. So they're the enemy. North Korea, they don't have control over that financial system. They're the enemy. China, same thing. They're the enemy. So any country that is not buying into the World Bank system is considered our enemy. There are countries in the world that are doing things 10 times worse than what Russia can even do.
Yep.
And they're not the enemy. We're not going over there trying to give them democracy, are we? We're not helping out Africa. All the tribes up there getting slaughtered. Are we over there running, waving African flags for the people down there getting slaughtered and beheaded?
To killing them. We're contributing to killing them.
We're contributing to it. So it has something to do with money. That's the bottom line.
And that's another key interesting point too, is the fact that how some of the rhetoric on the European side has been is that we might have to consider the possibility that America's an enemy. That was something that was actually said by a bunch of people in Europe, especially in the EU Parliament, is that the United States, because we told them no, because we said no, we're now an enemy. Or the fact that we're pulling funding from them and telling them they have to take care of themselves, we're now the enemy.
They ain't gonna do nothing about it.
That makes sense though. Like,
but that's the thing, is that the Europeans largely are useless to us other than trade. They have never been a guarantee. They have not kept up their end of the bargain on defense. They haven't been spending for their own defense for decades. And it's not our fault they never put any money into their own defense. It's just not.
They're not going to. As long as these people who are looking to us for money know we're going to give it, they take us for granted.
Yep.
The reason that Trump is having such a hard time with these people is because they realize they cannot get from him what they've been getting, and they're not going to get it. I was just watching Forbes today about the Doge hearing and all that stuff, and These people on the left consider what Trump is doing as a grift. Now, listen carefully.
Yeah.
Listen carefully. A grift by showing you that the government is not funding what they say they're funding. They're taking your money to do something they say they're not doing with it. And that is grifting. Meanwhile, you had a president beforehand who told you he was sending money somewhere, and 65% of it cannot be accounted for.
Right.
That's fine. That's not grifting. But the one president that isn't taking a paycheck, that's cutting all the BS out of the way, that's the grift.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? That
I mean,
tells you
is
that
it-
these people cannot be reasoned with because they don't function with reason. They function with emotion. They
Yeah.
do not know how to functionally get through something. Look at data. Look at Miss Crockett. She doesn't even understand how business works unless it has to do with a Korean sweatshop that's giving her weave. That's the only way you can make her understand math, is by telling her in the cost of nails and acrylics and facial features. That's the only way she'll understand math. But
Yeah.
talk to her about actual stuff, she wouldn't understand because she's too stupid to do it. And that's the majority of people in politics anymore. If they're not getting a cut from it, they don't want no logic out of it. And they can't get
That's
it because
right.
their brains
But-
won't function.
This meme actually brings up that exact thing that you're talking about, Marlon. It's like what really the left cares about is this. It's like, I stand with Ukraine. Be honest. I am being honest. Be honest. I just don't care about Ukraine. I just hate Trump. That's
And
it.
they
That's
do.
literally all it is.
That is all it is. But what else are they going to run on? Okay, look, let me answer. This is it. What else does the left actually have in their wheelhouse that can help American society thrive?
I've seen
Name me
nothing.
One policy.
I've
Just
seen
one
nothing.
policy. Nothing.
I've seen nothing.
Nothing.
Not one thing. Okay, so you want the Green New Deal. Tell me how that's going to benefit the United States when we are the lowest emission country on the planet. How?
And we pay more into green technology to try and
More.
decrease less than a degree over a century.
Thank you. And we're the only ones actually doing what we sign up to do.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones. You got people like India who's cutting meat on the side of the road with their toenail, at the same time burning some of the most obnoxious fumes out there on earth, right? They're getting nothing put on them by way of criteria, but they get all of the funding for it.
That's right.
Make that one make sense, right? For as much as people think Modi is such a great guy, now he a piece of shit too. He don't care about India. He's part of that whole class system out there. He's
Yep.
part of the caste system. You think he cares about the dudes on the side of the street making Indian street food worse than Taco Bell? No. In fact, he likes it. That has now become his trademark. India, everything to make you run, including to the bathroom. That's them now. Okay? So no, I'm not going to pull my punches about these countries because I know them. I know they're worthless because they're not worthless because of the people. But the people aren't doing anything anyway. They're worthless because of the leadership. I don't care whether it's white leadership, black leadership, Indian they're all in it for the money. They're not in
That's
it
right.
to help the people there. Yeah. And when you finally find a president who's trying to cut all the middlemen out and make it between the people and get what they pay for, all of a sudden he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I know. Here's the other thing, like I said, is like strategically, like I said, the only thing that makes sense is for us to team up with Russia. Europe is largely, yes, it's a nuclear power somewhat between the France and freaking Britain, but that's it. They don't have any other capabilities. Russia makes a more beneficial partner against China than anybody else because it's better to be a 2v1 than the other way around where it's Russia and China versus us.
Yeah.
Like Europeans, like they're not going to get their stuff together for decades. They're not even going to be any type of military force for at least 20, 30 years. Even if they start now, there's no way they can make it up in time.
So there are 9 countries right now that have nukes. Okay, and I want you to listen to these names: Russia, us, China, France, UK, Pakistan, India, Israel, North Korea. Now I want you to listen to that list and you tell me, of the ones that I mentioned, which are the ones you would be most concerned about having nuclear weapons? And then if they do have nukes, why are they in the position they're in? Why does Pakistan?
Yep. I was going to say that.
Why? Why does Pakistan have it?
We let them.
And why does India have it?
Yeah.
We let them.
Why does France have it? Now, here's the thing. I'm not opposed to anybody having it. But if you go have it, at least be it some sort of a world power. something, coordinate, at least contribute something to the mankind other than curry.
Yeah. That's the other thing that largely the U.S. has been responsible in NATO is the nuclear umbrella. We were nuclear sharing with Europe, right, at the detriment to us and cost to us for years, for decades. And now they're all saying, oh, where should we put our nukes? The only two people in your union that have nukes don't have the capabilities of doing what the U.S. does.
I honestly think they should just get rid of all nukes. There's no need for them. And then no one's going to use them. It's just scare tactic to keep people scared that, oh, Russia might nuke us. Yeah. Russia might do this. Or this country might do this. This country might nuke us. No one's going to use a nuke. They'll be stupid to do that. So I honestly think just get rid of them all and use that energy for something else if they can.
Like nuclear power.
Yep. No, yeah, nuclear power makes sense. But here's the thing is that the future of warfare is drones and AI. That's the future of warfare. Yeah. Nukes aren't going to mean anything in the next 10, 15 years.
No.
It's how many drones can you produce and how many AIs do you have working for you? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Drone swarms and little tiny bombs being flown into buildings or into tanks or into positions or trenches. The FPV drones are the new future of warfare. If you can make them cheaply and reliably, that's going to be your way in. That's going to be the thing that we're going to be using.
At the end of the day, this is the problem that we're going to face. Trump has to make his decisions in spite of the media and stupid lefties having an issue with him. And what I don't want to see him do is try to appease to these fools, because he has to understand you cannot appease them. I hope President Trump understands this. I don't care how much you may want to have peace within the confines of the American government and in the walls of the USA. It's not going to happen. You have to understand this, Mr. President. These people on the left who have been indoctrinated for the last 8 years, 12, have a very difficult time disassociating themselves from what they've heard and to reality. They cannot hitch themselves to what is real anymore. Yeah. So you try to placate to them or even try and find common ground. There is no common ground because they're not even grounded. So you can't find that. So all I'm asking you to do is do what you know you're supposed to do. Let them figure their crap out. I don't care if they become so mentally ill that they want to remove themselves physically from this plane. Let them do what they got to do. They've been this crazy for a long time. They can continue being that way another 15 years.
Yep.
Our goal right now is to get rid of what we know is wrong, get out of the way of the debt that we're in, and try and put Americans back on their feet. If that's not something that you can do, and then I ask you to let somebody else do it. You're on a good track. I get it. But please don't let this idea of trying to make peace with everybody cloud what actually is about to happen. Because if you do that, I'm promising you now, only thing that they're going to do is come back and stab you in the back. They'll act like your friend, and they say, well, thank you for making a peace with us. And then in the next 2 years, you're going to see them come back and do everything in their power to make sure they hamstring you.
They did that before.
With these people.
They did that. They did that before.
Yes.
And another way to fix it, like Trump, he has to really drain the swamp. And I know he's starting it, with all this excess money being wasted and all these officials that aren't working, these government, employees that aren't working. That's the part of draining the swamp. But the minute he starts hitting these neocons and these warmongers within the system, our system itself, and you start taking them out, you'll start to see a lot more change when it comes to how we relate and deal with other countries when it comes to conflict. As long as we got warmongers in there that are tied to them, especially the military-industrial complex, you're going to continue to see this because you have a lot of freaking snakes within the system that haven't probably been identified yet. And they're secretly working behind the scenes to make sure this stuff goes on. You have to find those people and you have to get rid of them.
You want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Go ahead.
What we're seeing in the turn from Europe and how they're looking at the United States, I think, is the globalists realizing that the United States is lost. Right? The establishment in the United States is done. They're not going to be able to continue on what they were doing. So now they just elected a guy in Germany that was on the board of BlackRock for very many years. And they're going to be transferring operations from the United States over to Europe and making that the headquarters for the globalists from now on, which it already had been for the most part. But now I think it's officially.
Let them have it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Let them have it. We don't care.
And watch them
keep America.
burn.
Yeah,
Watch them burn. Ain't nobody mad about that.
Our only focus should be America. And I know it sounds messed up. I really do not care how other countries operate. It should always be America, for America, about America. We need
the Monroe Doctrine all the way.
You can't be feeling bad for that, Mike. But here's the problem: if we don't take care of ourselves, there will be no America.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
So
and we just need to stop. We need to stop focusing on them. I don't care that a car bomb went off in Uzbekistan. Okay, sorry, I feel bad for the people. Hey, the government needs to do something about it. We need to get back to American problems, focusing on America, talk about what's going on in this country, to get people focused on the issues here. We're always talking about outside entities. They're waving Ukrainian flags, they're waving Palestinian flags, but when things happen in America, you don't see all these leftists waving American flags, praying for the people in these states that got hit with these natural disasters. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, a really crazy thing. We will be back on Wednesday, and of course, I don't think by Wednesday we might have that Mr. Debate show up again and say, "See, I told you I was gonna come and I forgot." And admit that more likely happen. But if you guys know somebody that wants to debate, send them here. Now I will make a disclaimer. We are not responsible for people's emotional well-being after.
No,
very true.
Just want to make sure you understand it. Okay, send them with caution. With caution. Yes. Okay. Well, the reason I'm cutting it now because I just got word I need to go check in with the wife where she's at. So,
hey, real quick, Marlon. I know you got to go. Mm-hmm. What do you think Trump's big surprise is tomorrow? Real quick, let's go.
I didn't even hear that he had one.
Yeah, at the joint congressional briefing tomorrow.
I'm gonna say he's leaving the UN.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Jay,
I hope it's the Epstein list.
Yeah. Coy,
I come with you. I think he's going to ask for them to revoke certain treaties with the UN.
Yeah,
or
I'm
at
with
least
Jay.
with NATO.
I'm with Jay. Epstein.
You got two for Epstein and two for the UN.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good split.
Yeah.
Two minorities with the light skins, one black over the light, one black over the light. I get it.
Yeah. Go ahead and put in the chat what you guys think. We'll still be able to see it after the show, so you can continue typing.
Yeah, continue typing. But we'll catch you guys on Wednesday. I am not sure about Straight Talk in the morning, considering what has just transpired today. I will update you guys when I know more, because if I have to be, if my wife does end up staying the night, which looks like it more likely will happen at the hospital, then I probably will not be going live tomorrow morning. I'll be doing kid runs and then straight to the hospital. So if you don't see a show pop up, just understand that'd be why, but I'll update you guys as much as I know when I know. In the meantime, in between time, Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you Wednesday.
Peace.
Whoa.